So today we're joined by Enda Kelly of Spark Crowdfunding. Enda, thank you for joining us here in Ludgate for the Ludgate Member Spotlight Series. So Enda, tell me a little bit about your role in Spark Crowdfunding.
Oh gosh, I suppose I'm Munster designation, but Munster now seems to be the whole of Ireland, and essentially the role is identifying startups that we can help fundraise for, and crowdfunding now in the context of startups is global. Cube in the UK are the global leader. Crowdfunding in the US has been going on for more years than most people know, and it's moved from reward funding to the type of funding we do, which is equity crowdfunding, and in Ireland we're going for about 3 years. Chris and Connor set it up about I think about just on 3 years ago, and they brought me along about 6 months ago, and the way the business is going, we've done the best part of 30 campaigns, and what we did notice though, or what they noticed, not so much me, was everything's nearly happening in Dublin, and it was a question of getting out and getting into Cork and getting into Kerry and getting into Galway. So I think even though they say I'm the manager of Munster, I think it includes Ulster, it includes Connacht.
All of Ireland, they're rolling you out nationwide.
So really just identifying startup businesses who beforehand would have kind of bootstrapped, they'd have gone to venture capital, they've gone to HBAN, Enterprise Ireland was probably giving them money, and we're just an alternative source, and it's bringing in a lot of people who don't normally invest. Some do on the outside. They describe it as democratization of investment. So we're looking for people who have cash to invest in startup businesses, and startup businesses with ambition, many of them technology businesses at the moment, and it's just giving everybody something to have an interest in, invest in. And crowdfunding is better than, let's say, being part of HBAN or part of a VC, insofar as what you have is you've a gal, a guy, might be earning 50, 60 grand a year, might be earning 100 grand a year, might have a couple of thousand and nobody else. You can't be, that 2 grand they have could not make its way to a business in normal circumstances. Through a crowdfunding platform, it can. That's what we do.
And of course they have less of a say then in your business as well. Do they? Would that be fair to say?
Well, essentially a typical financing round for a startup, you could have 200-300 investors raising, say, 300,000-400,000 euro, and so one person might have, say, 3,000, which might be a percentage of 1% of a share, and but what happens is all those come together insofar as all the investors are crowded into a nominee holder.
Okay.
And so they invest, they don't mess up their cap table by having numerous small investors.
Yes.
You end up with a nominee holder representing the crowd who have invested. And so say not, but they have to be updating what's happening.
Yeah.
They like to be updated.
Of course, good governance.
That type of thing. And because they want to see where their investment is going. But what I would say to you about crowdfunding is that our typical investor is looking at a 5 to 7 times return on the money they put in a 5 to 7 year time period.
Okay.
So if you put 10 grand, or say 2 grand into a business, you expect probably 4 or 5 years time when that business exits that you're going to get 10 grand back. Okay. So it's a nice little investment.
Nice little earner.
And what we suggest to all our, we've about 9,500 investors at the moment, what we suggest is not to put all your money in one startup, put it in a number of startups so you can spread your risk. Yeah. And also you can follow these businesses, and people have a genuine interest in business. Young people are much more open, let's say, than all those years ago when I started. Everybody seems to have an interest in what's happening in business. There's all these role models. Ireland is now a centre for technology for startups, and everybody knows somebody who's working in HubSpot or working in Teamwork or Workday or things like that. And they're also beginning to hear about these smaller businesses that are coming through. I think at this stage Ireland has 6 or 7 unicorns.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
you're
it's
investing in a potential unicorn.
Yeah, yeah.
And we've loads.
Exactly. And they're growing. So in terms then of your criteria, so let's say a business comes to you and says, I'm thinking about crowdfunding. I think Spark might be the appropriate partner to do this crowdfunding with. What do I need? What is the criteria that Spark will adhere to in terms of getting that person up and on a campaign? And you might just speak to us as well, maybe about that campaign and how it operates.
Okay. Well, essentially, it's a startup. So you either have a product and you're in the market, or you're getting a product ready to go to the market, and depending on what stage you're at. So what we're looking at is there a genuine yeah, obviously whoever threw that stone didn't think I was getting to the criteria properly. My sense is it's, you know, when we look at businesses, we're looking at the product, we're looking at, you know, is there intellectual property, what the management team is like, you know, is there essentially the right people there, is there the right product there, and is there a sense of what the market is? And, you know, obviously if you have turnover and you've proven it to a certain extent and want to go to the next level, that's an easier fundraise than say somebody who's pre-revenue, or in fact pre-product quite sometimes happens. But you know by the people who are leading the startup what the opportunity is, and so it's not that difficult to identify good stories, good businesses. What you tend to do is you like to meet them early and work with them for say a certain number of months while they're progressing, and you can see the progression. And then a lot of the people we do talk to in the startup world are EI, HPSUs, so they're already kind of been well groomed, they've already been identified as having potential. And they're also coming out of places like Ludgate and out of Republic of Work and Dogpatch and Portershed. And what we see also is universities, UCC Ignite, Rubicon. You're seeing the spin-outs of Trinity, the spin-outs of UCD, of UCC, and the whole college network have really got behind this initiative in the same way as the government and Enterprise Ireland have got behind the initiative. And today it's kind of been supported by VCs, and we don't, you know, we've Atlantic Bridge and a few more of those quality VCs, but they're tending to come in a bit later in the round, and you know, possibly late seed or Series A, and there's that gap between getting going, getting the product, bootstrapping, people not earning wages, and now they want to move the business on. And whereas previously, I suppose a lot of people had to, was to bootstrap businesses, and over a period of time they progress. But now the way business is going, everything is short term. You have the product, you have the intellectual property, you have the idea, and you want to get to market quickly. Because if you don't get to market quickly, somebody else will take that space from you. So businesses are much more prepared to, how do I say it to you, fund now rather than previously when they bootstrap. And Ireland is now producing lots of young entrepreneurial talent.
Yeah, it's phenomenal.
And it's great to see, obviously, and but they're not kind of one-trick ponies. A lot of these entrepreneurial people see themselves as being serial and producing a number of different businesses. So people kind of say, you know, I don't want to raise funding because I don't want to lose 100% of the business. Now the way people are thinking, I want to get this business away so as I can get on to the next. So probably entrepreneurship in Ireland going forward, I wouldn't be surprised at all if a lot of the young entrepreneurial folk will end up doing 5 or 6 different businesses. And I think that's evident too. You know, I see guys, when I was doing EY Entrepreneur of the Year all those years ago, what business they were in entrepreneur, let's say in 23, 24, 25, they've had about 4 or 5 different businesses since. So this is the new world, it's a serial type world. Entrepreneurship in Ireland and the type of business that are set up are more US style. than say UK style or Northern European style. We tend to have a serial type mentality, which you'd see in South Europe, you'd see it in the US, and you're seeing that in Ireland, which is great for the country and the economy, because the more businesses there are, the more wealth that's created, the more employment that's given,
Absolutely.
and the more that kind of, how do I put it to you, gets young people coming out of college to get into this space. I was fascinated to read the other day where for years the big accounting firms were taking all the top graduates. Now all these graduates are going towards technology, and it's a right place for them to be, because they can have great careers in it, they can add huge value, and actually travel the world with that type of experience. So that's the way the whole thing is moving, is that?
Yeah. So great, Enda. Yeah, thank you. In terms then of, you've worked with the business, taking it back a layer. You've worked with the business for a few months. You're getting them ready, and you're seeing it from Spark's point of view as well. Will this company succeed if we put them up on a campaign to raise funds for them? So you're on the cusp of launching the campaign. How long would a campaign normally operate for, or be left up there for? Or is that...
Okay, yeah. We would probably, to get the campaign ready, take, say, 2, 3, 4 weeks. We'd probably have it up on the platform for about, say, 4 or 5 weeks. And then after that, it's a couple of weeks to go through all the leagues, get all the documentation done.
So quick turnaround.
It's, well, if you go to a VC, or you go to HBAN, or you go to other organisations, you know, it could be 6, 9, 12 months quite often. If you come to us guys, if everything is ready in the context of documentation, etc., and people are willing to invest, 10 to 12 weeks we could have the funding round organised and completed. So it's a quicker path to money, and it's not as complicated, because, you know, well, maybe complication, but you're dealing with investors as such you don't know. We're building the campaign with you. We're putting this campaign up, and people vote with their feet. They put in their cash. So it's probably in some ways less demanding, and then the speed of the whole thing is what a lot of
and it's very transparent as well.
Yeah,
everybody can see.
You're watching it on the line, up on the
Exactly.
platform, and the money's coming in. So you're right, it is transparent. We've nearly 30 campaigns done, and a couple of good ones up there at the moment, and more going up. So hopefully over a period of time, this will become just an alternative. In saying
as people
that,
get used to it.
As they do. And I saw an article recently, I think it was on LinkedIn, where somebody was asking the question, will Gen Z believe in venture capital? Or will they be more in the crowd? And the conclusion was to be in the crowd. So good for us.
Exactly. It'll be great growth over the coming years. So
yeah. No, it's just, it is another source of funding,
and the more options, the better.
Absolutely. Because what we've actually done is we've gone in beside VCs, we've gone in beside angel investors, in beside Enterprise Ireland, and we've gone in our own. And if you look in the UK at the moment, Cube now is going in on Series A, B and C rounds. So as we develop and build substance, you see the same things happening there. So crowdfunding globally is becoming a lot more sophisticated. The big two in the UK, as Cube is number 1, Cedar's number 2, and Cedar was bought out for 100 million just before Christmas by Republic in the US. So crowdfunding is really
exciting times ahead for Spark.
Yeah, and more importantly, I would have said for startups. Because they benefit, because if they can get their hands on money easier,
and they've got the options. It's
quicker for them.
So in terms then, and you I think you touched on this in terms of the universities and the hub landscape, and that being a supportive environment for startups and entrepreneurs. And what does it mean to Spark to be part of that? I mean, you're a member here in Ludgate, but also you're taking out an office space in Republic of Work. Why have you gone down the hub route of it being a nice alternative option to having a private office space somewhere?
Because like all these things, you've an office on the 4th floor and somebody's to come to see you, Or in actual fact, if you're operating where the activity is, like we're in where the activity is in Ludgate and Republic of Work, you want to be in those places.
It's almost like a funnel.
Yeah, you want to also be in the colleges. You want to be talking to what's happening, who are the entrepreneurs, what businesses are coming out of Nova UCD, coming out of Trinity Tangent, all that type of stuff. You just need to know that you're not going to find that out in an office tucked away in some 12-story building or something like that. You're going to find it in places like Ludgate and Republic of Work and Portershed and Dogpatch. And it's great because that's where the community is. Crowdfunding is community. The community is based in these places. This is where they learn. This is where they kind of connect. This is where they find their CTO. They find their product, or else they're in Nova UCD or in UCC or in MTU, getting them to help on the product. Like one of the
so you need to have visibility.
Oh yeah, one of the businesses up in our platform at the moment is NetFasa, which is doing very well. But they had a product, but they got it kind of improved upon by Tyndall in UCC, in Tyndall Institute. Okay. So this is what's happening.
So they got the students there to work.
Oh, no, they'd be more at the research end. But,
PhD,
those type of people. But that's what's happening quite often with some of these businesses, a means to get there quicker. If they have the technology so far, they might just go in and get it more perfected, or with Tyndall and the European Space Agency. Yeah, they're not going to the moon, but all the satellite, all the navigation type stuff that's going on, which is just getting better by the day. Yes. So rather than having some guy out writing a bit of code, you can sit down with guys like that. So there's a whole kind of movement at the moment.
Yeah, and people are working together.
Yeah, and of entrepreneurs. And Ludgate is part of that movement. Spark Crowdfunding wants to be part of that funding, and whereas guys will help with education, they'll do connections for you. Then fundamentally, the way business is going, you need money and you need it early. So we're all part of the same plot, so to speak, of building enterprise Ireland beyond just enterprise Ireland.
Absolutely. Listen, Enda, thank you so much. I've taken up so much of your time now this morning. Really appreciate it. It was lovely chatting to you, and hopefully next year we'll have you back on another Member Spotlight.
Okay, super. Thank you for giving me the time. See you then.
Thank you.